Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey here. Now listen to me closely, because this right here is one of the biggest truths about relationships that most people don't want to hear, but every man knows deep down. Every man wants you to detach, and before you misunderstand that, let me explain exactly what that means, because it does not mean he wants you to stop caring. It does not mean he wants you to disappear. And it definitely does not mean he wants to lose you. What it means is this: every man wants to be with a woman who is not emotionally hanging her entire happiness on him. Detachment creates attraction, not distance. And that truth confuses a lot of people because it goes against what emotions tell us to do. When you care about someone, your instinct is to hold tighter, check more, ask more questions, and seek more reassurance. But attraction doesn't grow in emotional pressure. It grows in emotional freedom. Detachment is not about becoming cold or distant. It is about loosening your grip so the connection can breathe. When you detach, you are not pulling away from the person. You are pulling back into yourself, and that shift changes everything. A man feels attraction when he feels space to choose, when he senses that you are not trying to lock him down emotionally, not trying to control the outcome, and not trying to secure his feelings before they are ready. He relaxes. And when a man relaxes, he leans in. Pressure makes him retreat, but freedom invites him forward. Detachment removes the silent demand that says, you have to feel a certain way by now. Instead, it creates an open environment where feelings can develop naturally. When you detach, you stop monitoring his behavior for signs of reassurance. You're no longer counting text, analyzing tone, or reading into silence. That shift alone changes your energy. You become calmer, more grounded, and more self-assured. And a man can feel that energy immediately. He feels the difference between a woman who is watching his every move and a woman who is secure within herself. One creates tension, the other creates attraction. Detachment also restores polarity. Attraction thrives on polarity, on the balance between closeness and space. When you are overly attached, you collapse that polarity. You move too far into his emotional space, leaving no room for curiosity or pursuit. Detachment reintroduces mystery, not secrecy, not games, but mystery that comes from independence. He begins to wonder what you're doing, how you're feeling, and where he stands with you. That wondering keeps his attention engaged. Another powerful aspect of detachment is that it removes emotional dependency. When a man senses that your happiness depends on his actions, he feels pressure whether he wants to or not. Even a good man can feel overwhelmed by that responsibility. Detachment says, I enjoy you, but I am responsible for my own happiness. That message is incredibly attractive because it shows emotional maturity and strength. Detachment also shifts the dynamic from chasing to choosing. When you are attached, you chase outcomes. You chase clarity. You chase reassurance. When you detach, you allow choice to emerge naturally. He chooses to show up. He chooses to invest. He chooses to express how he feels. And when a man chooses you freely, that choice carries far more weight than anything he's pressured into saying. There's also a confidence that comes with detachment that can't be fake. It's the confidence of knowing that you'll be okay no matter what happens. That doesn't mean you don't care. It means you trust yourself. You trust that you can handle disappointment. You trust that you don't need to force anything meant for you. That self-trust is deeply attractive because it signals emotional stability. Detachment allows attraction to flow instead of being forced. When you stop trying to control the direction of the relationship, you allow genuine chemistry to surface. He begins to feel drawn to you because being around you feels easy. There's no emotional debt, no constant checking in, no unspoken expectations, just presence, just connection. That ease is what makes him want more. Another important part of detachment is that it brings balance back to effort. When you detach, you stop overgiving. You stop filling in gaps that he should be filling himself. You stop carrying the emotional weight of the connection alone. And when you stop doing that, he either steps up or steps away. Either way, you get clarity without chasing it. Detachment also allows him to experience the natural consequence of your absence, not dramatic absence, not disappearing acts, but emotional space. He notices when you're not always available. He notices when you're not constantly initiating. That absence gives him room to feel what your presence actually adds to his life. Without detachment, that realization never happens because there's no contrast. When you detach, you stop trying to be chosen and start choosing yourself. And that shift changes how you carry yourself, how you speak, and how you respond. You're no longer negotiating your worth. You're no longer proving your value. You're simply being who you are. That authenticity is magnetic. Detachment is powerful because it aligns you with truth. If a man is meant to be with you, detachment will not push him away. It will draw him closer. If he fades when you detach, he was only responding to your effort, not your essence. And that truth, while sometimes uncomfortable, is freeing. Attraction grows when there is space for desire, choice, and authenticity. Detachment creates that space. It doesn't weaken connection, it strengthens it. It doesn't push love away, it invites it forward. And when you understand that, you stop fearing detachment and start using it as a way to stay rooted in yourself while allowing love to meet you naturally. Men are deeply drawn to women who are emotionally secure within themselves, even if they don't always know how to explain it. Emotional security is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand reassurance or constant validation. It shows in how a woman carries herself, how she responds instead of reacts, and how she remains grounded regardless of what someone else is doing. When a woman is emotionally secure, a man feels peace around her, and peace is one of the strongest forces that pulls a man closer. An emotionally secure woman does not look to a man to complete her. She already feels whole. She enjoys companionship, connection, and affection, but her identity is not wrapped up in someone else's attention. That sense of wholeness is powerful. It tells a man that being with her is a choice, not a responsibility. And men want to choose love freely, not feel obligated to maintain it. When a woman is emotionally secure, she doesn't panic in moments of uncertainty. She doesn't rush to fill silence with questions or assume the worst when things slow down. She understands that not every pause is a problem. That calm response lowers a man's defenses. He doesn't feel rushed to explain himself or pressured to perform emotionally on demand. Instead, he feels space to show up authentically. Emotional security also shows in boundaries. A secure woman knows what she will accept and what she won't. She doesn't threaten, manipulate, or beg. She simply stands firm in her values. Though, see, boundaries communicate self-respect, and self-respect earns respect. A man instinctively responds differently to a woman who honors herself because he knows she won't tolerate inconsistency or half effort for long. Another important aspect of emotional security is emotional regulation. Secure women feel deeply, but they don't let emotions control their actions. They can express disappointment without attacking, and they can communicate needs without demanding. This emotional steadiness makes a man feel safe. He doesn't fear that one wrong move will lead to chaos or conflict. That safety encourages honesty and openness. A man also notices how an emotionally secure woman handles her own life. She has interests, responsibilities, and goals that matter to her. She doesn't drop everything to be available, not because she's playing games, but because her life is full. This fullness is attractive because it shows purpose. A man is naturally drawn to a woman who has direction and passion beyond the relationship. Emotional security changes the power dynamic. Instead of trying to secure love, a secure woman allows love to meet her where she stands. She doesn't chase attention or overextend to prove her worth. Her energy is calm and confident. That confidence makes a man curious. He wants to know more about her. He wants to earn her time and presence. A secure woman also doesn't internalize rejection or uncertainty as a reflection of her worth. If a man pulls back, she doesn't immediately assume she's not enough. She understands that his actions reflect where he is emotionally, not her value. This mindset protects her peace and prevents her from reacting out of fear. That emotional independence is deeply attractive. Men are also drawn to emotional security because it allows them to be imperfect. Around a secure woman, a man doesn't feel like he has to have everything figured out. He can admit uncertainty, confusion, or vulnerability without fear of judgment. That freedom creates intimacy. It allows real connection to form instead of surface level interaction. Emotional security also invites pursuit. When a woman isn't chasing, a man has room to step forward. He doesn't feel crowded. He doesn't feel like the relationship is moving faster than his emotions. That space encourages him to invest naturally. He begins to initiate, to plan, and to express interest because he wants to, not because he feels pushed. Another powerful element of emotional security is patience. A secure woman understands that emotional connection unfolds over time. She doesn't rush the process or demand instant certainty. She allows things to develop organically while staying true to herself. This patience doesn't come from fear of losing someone, it comes from confidence in herself. When a man is around an emotionally secure woman, he feels balanced, he feels calm, he feels respected. That emotional environment allows his feelings to surface naturally. He doesn't feel like he has to guard himself or protect his independence. Instead, he feels invited into connection. Emotional security also brings clarity. A man knows where he stands because a secure woman communicates clearly and honestly. She doesn't send mixed signals or play emotional games. That clarity builds trust and deepens attraction. Men value consistency and honesty more than dramatic displays of emotion. Ultimately, men want women who are emotionally secure because emotional security creates peace, trust, and authenticity. It removes pressure and replaces it with choice. It allows attraction to grow without force. And when a man feels peace with you, he doesn't run from it. He leans into it. Letting go of control allows a man to step forward naturally, and this is one of the most misunderstood principles in relationships. Too often, women believe that controlling the pace, the direction, or even the emotional tone of a relationship is necessary to secure a man's love or commitment. They over-explain, over-analyze, and over-manage every interaction. But what most don't realize is that control creates pressure, and pressure makes a man retreat. Love and desire are not born from control, they are born from freedom. When you let go of the need to control, you allow a man to show up authentically, at his own pace, and in ways that reflect his true feelings rather than his fear of losing you. Letting go of control doesn't mean abandoning boundaries or ignoring red flags. It means relinquishing the illusion that your worth or happiness depends on orchestrating someone else's behavior. A woman who tries to control a man often communicates insecurity, fear, and desperation, even if it's wrapped in love and concern. That energy, whether conscious or not, pushes men away. But when a woman steps back and trusts herself, trusts the process, and trusts that she will be okay no matter the outcome, something incredible happens. The man starts to step into the space she's created. He begins to invest willingly rather than out of obligation or fear. One way letting go of control works is by reducing the emotional pressure a man feels. Men are wired differently than women in how they process emotions and make commitments. They often need time and space to reflect on their feelings before expressing them. When a woman micromanages, asks for constant reassurance, or tries to define the relationship prematurely, it interrupts his internal process. That pressure triggers defensiveness, withdrawal, and sometimes even avoidance. But when a woman releases control, she allows him to navigate his feelings without interference. She creates an environment where honesty and vulnerability feel safe, which encourages him to step forward naturally. Letting go of control also strengthens a woman's own sense of power. There's a misconception that power in a relationship comes from holding on to someone tightly or manipulating their emotions to secure commitment. True power comes from self-mastery, from knowing that your happiness does not depend on anyone else. When a woman demonstrates that she is whole, confident, and not desperate for validation, she becomes magnetic. A man senses that energy immediately. He sees that she values herself and will not settle for less than she deserves. That perception inspires him to rise to the occasion, to invest sincerely, and to step into his role without being coerced. Another essential aspect of letting go of control is trust. Trust in yourself, trust in the process, and trust in the man's ability to step forward if he is genuinely interested. Trust removes the need for constant monitoring, questioning, or pressure. When a woman trusts, she communicates stability and emotional security, which are incredibly attractive qualities. Men do not want to feel controlled, they want to feel chosen. And letting go of control allows them to make that choice freely, which makes it far more meaningful. Letting go of control is not a one-time act, it's a consistent practice. It requires awareness, patience, and restraint. It means noticing when you are about to overstep or overreact and choosing instead to step back and observe. It means allowing conversations, interactions, and decisions to unfold naturally, even if the timing doesn't align with your personal expectations. That restraint can be challenging, especially for women who have been conditioned to manage relationships actively, but it is one of the most powerful tools for creating attraction and deep emotional connection. When a woman lets go of control, she also allows him to experience natural consequences. A man begins to realize the value of a woman not through her words or explanations, but through her presence or her absence. He feels her confidence, her independence, and her stability. That realization encourages him to step up, to show initiative, and to define his feelings and intentions in ways that are authentic. Detachment and letting go are not passive acts. They are deliberate strategies for allowing truth to surface. Letting go of control also fosters mutual respect. When a woman releases the need to micromanage a relationship, it signals that she trusts herself and respects him. Men respond to respect because it validates their sense of autonomy and self-worth. A man is far more likely to invest fully when he feels respected, when he knows his efforts are recognized, without coercion or emotional manipulation. That respect creates a healthy dynamic in which both partners contribute willingly, rather than being caught in cycles of tension and control. Furthermore, letting go of control allows love to reveal its natural rhythm. When a woman stops forcing outcomes or trying to predict every step, she creates room for genuine connection to develop. Men step forward not because they are pressured or compelled, but because their hearts and minds are ready. That organic emergence of feelings is far stronger, deeper, and more sustainable than emotions elicited under stress or manipulation. Letting go of control also teaches patience and perspective. A woman who releases the need to micromanage can observe the relationship with clarity, seeing who is truly willing to invest and who is not. She can notice patterns, behaviors, and intentions without getting caught in anxiety or fear. This perspective allows her to make wiser decisions, maintain her emotional balance, and protect her peace. Finally, letting go of control is an act of love, both for oneself and for the man involved. It's a way of honoring the natural flow of emotions and human connection. It signals maturity, self-awareness, and inner strength. When a woman practices this consistently, she not only attracts a man who is willing to step forward authentically, but she also cultivates a relationship built on trust, respect, and mutual desire. By releasing the need to control, she empowers both herself and him, creating an environment where love can flourish without force. Ultimately, letting go of control is not about surrendering or giving up. It is about reclaiming your power, trusting yourself, and allowing the man to step into his truth. It is about creating conditions where connection, attraction, and emotional honesty can emerge naturally. When a woman learns to do this, she doesn't chase a man. She allows him to choose her over and over freely and willingly. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how a relationship becomes stronger, more authentic, and more deeply fulfilling than anything forced by pressure, fear, or control. Detachment protects your peace and reveals his true intentions. And this is a principle that many people fail to understand until they experience it for themselves. Most women, when they care deeply for a man, immediately tie their emotional well-being to his attention, his approval, and his presence. They believe that being constantly available, constantly responsive, and constantly invested will secure his love and commitment. But the truth is, overinvesting emotionally clouds clarity, creates dependence, and often attracts behavior that is less than genuine. When you detach, you create a buffer that protects your peace, gives you perspective, and allows the man to show his true colors without interference. Detachment is not about becoming cold, distant, or indifferent. It's not about punishment or games. It's about stepping back emotionally and creating an internal environment where you are whole, secure, and unaffected by his fluctuations. When you detach, you are no longer reacting to every message, call, or action. You are no longer measuring your worth based on his behavior. Instead, you are observing, maintaining your balance, and letting the natural rhythm of the relationship reveal itself. That kind of emotional independence is magnetic because it communicates strength, stability, and self-respect, qualities that every man notices even if he doesn't immediately articulate them. Detachment allows you to see clearly what a man's intentions really are. When you are emotionally entangled, it's easy to excuse inconsistency, overlook red flags, or rationalize behavior that doesn't align with your needs. Detachment creates space between your emotions and his actions, giving you the clarity to observe patterns. You begin to notice whether he invests freely, whether he shows up consistently, or whether his interest fades when you are not immediately available. That clarity is invaluable because it prevents wasted time and emotional energy, and it ensures that your decisions are grounded in reality rather than hope or fear. One of the most powerful aspects of detachment is that it shifts the energy dynamic. When you are emotionally available to the point of overinvestment, the relationship often becomes unbalanced. You give more than he gives. You chase more than he pursues. You anticipate more than he initiates. Detachment restores balance by allowing him to step forward on his own. It creates an environment where he is required to contribute willingly if he values the connection. In that space, you can see whether he is truly committed or simply comfortable with the attention and effort you provide.